Okay, now that we've completed the walls of our bedroom plan, let's take a look in our workbook on page 30 and 31 about ways in which we can get information from our drawings. And I'm going to start with something that I introduced you to, only the concept of as it related to the topic of the interface, but you've seen this before. We're gonna revisit this. This is the properties palette. The properties palette. Let's open up the properties palette. Where is the properties palette? If you go to the View tab of your ribbon, here are all the palettes that you can turn on in the palette panel. And here is the properties palette. Go ahead and click on that. Now you should have it already set, because of what I did at the beginning of the week. You should have it already set to not allow docking. So there, if you go to the little gear right here in the title bar of the properties palette, and you click on it, it should not have a check mark next to allow docking. All right, now here's how you use the properties palette. First of all, let me stretch it open just a little bit, and it's difficult to kind of get through this virtual machine, the virtual environment, and trying to grab a hold of it. All right, yeah, there you go. I stretched it. I'm stretching. There you go. All right. Now the way this works is if you select something, like let's say in the upper right-hand corner, we select this line here. I'm in the upper right-hand corner of the bedroom here. Take a look over here at your properties palette. So it's telling us here that this is a line. That's the name of the entity. Here's some general information about the property element.
Hey, Alan, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, please.
So I think when I grabbed my mouse, I accidentally zoomed out or in way too fast. Wasn't there like a command where you could like zoom back to like?
Yes, double click the wheel.
Got it. Thank you.
There you go. So here you have some general properties of the element. Things like what layer is the line on? And the color, it says here, is being managed by the layer. The color is, the layer properties are being followed here with this particular object, the line type, and all of this stuff following those properties. Then we can ignore 3D visualization because we don't have any 3D, and basically what that's referring to is that there might be, if it's a 3D solid element, you could apply material to it for rendering purposes, but we're not worried about that. But it still gives us the information. Then, if you look down here at the bottom of the list, you see a couple things here. This line is 1'6". We know that to be true. We know that to be true because from our markup here. Our markup right here is this line here is 1'6" long. So this confirms it. Another thing that you're going to notice here is that he's telling us that this line starts here and it goes 1'6" in the direction or angle of 180 degrees. Okay? And finally, what I want to show you is look at all of the coordinates. So even though I sort of said, hey, you're not going to really use the coordinates to draw, and we used a couple coordinates. We used just one, the 0, 0 to get our rectangle started. But even though we didn't use them to place these elements, as I mentioned, this gives you proof and shows you how everything in an AutoCAD drawing is based on this Cartesian coordinate system. Here's how it knows where this line is, where the line starts, where the line ends, by coordinates. Look at these coordinates here. The start of this line in the x direction starts 16'6" in the x, 31'7" in the y. So what they're saying here is the start of that line is 16'6" in the x, 31'7" in the y. That's this point right here. Then it says the end of the line in the x direction is 15 foot. And that makes sense, 15 foot, because 16'6", I know you can't see it here, 16'6" minus 1'6" gives us the x coordinate of 15 feet. And the y coordinate is the same as before. So it's this coordinate right here, the end point of this line is x, 15 foot, and y, 31'7". Okay? All right. So that gives you proof of this. Let's take a look at an opposite one down here. Now, by the way, if you have something selected and you select something else, the properties palette is going to show you that you have more than one object selected. Now, the only type of entity that we have currently in our drawing is lines. So the only thing that it's going to report here is lines, because that's the only thing that we can select. But what I'm trying to show you here is that I have two lines selected, one at the top right corner, one at the bottom left corner. Some of the properties are exactly the same, all of the general properties and so forth. But look how these coordinates vary. So this starts at a different coordinate than this starts. But here we have the same length, 1'6". All right. Now I'm going to deselect both of these items, deselect all. And I'm going to select this line in the lower left-hand corner. Same thing. You've seen all of the common properties that we saw from before. But look at this. This line here starts at 0, 0. And it ends here. And this coordinate, and by the way, you can actually see this if you look down at your, I never mentioned these, I told you to turn it on, but I never referenced it. These coordinates down here, look at this. You hover over this one, and it says it's 0, 0. Now, it's going to change if I move my cursor down there, of course. But this is 0, 0. And if I hover over this script, this one is 1'6" in the x, 0 in the y. And we can see that right there. 1'6" in the x, 0 in the y. So, basically, the properties palette is going to report to you information and properties about the position of elements, what layers they're on, and any other sort of relevant properties or information about it. Properties. All right, if you don't have anything selected, the properties palette is just telling you information, general information about your drawing currently. So it's telling you here, hey, the current layer is the A wall layer. And these are all sort of the current settings in your drawing. Your drawing is has a plot style assigned to it, and we're going to talk more about that later. The view, it's actually telling you that the center of this view is at a particular coordinate, and the height of the view and the width of the view. If you scroll out a little bit, watch how this will change. You see that? Now, I don't know who would actually need this information here, but that's actually what's happening here. It's saying that the height of this window right now, look at this. If I do a little measurement, or maybe if I draw a line from way down here, watch this. Keep in mind the height, 60 foot 7 inches. So if I draw a line from where I am right now, zoomed in, straight up to the top here, look at my measurement there. 60 foot. If I go a couple more inches, I'll get 60 foot 7 inches. I have no idea where this might be helpful, but there you see. Now watch how it changes. If I zoom in a little bit, it's 38 foot. So here, just to prove it to you, I'll do another little line just to measure things here. Look at that, close to 38 feet. 37 foot 9.5. I can go just a little bit more. No, that's about all I can go. But basically, that's what that is. And then there's some other information there about your current drawing, the scale and UCS icon and so forth. Look at that UCS icon. Is it on? No. Now here's the other thing that I didn't mention about the properties palette. It's interactive. If I click right here where it says UCS icon on and it says no, I can say yes. And there, now it's turned on. You know what I just did there? I did the same exact thing as turning it on over here. So watch this. And remember, with no selection, all it's saying is that these are some general properties about your current drawing and the current state of the view you're in. So here it says the UCS icon is on. If I come over here and I turn it back off, now look what it says. UCS icon on. No, not on. All right. Now I don't have yet anything. We're going to add some blocks soon. But here, just to give you a little variety here, why don't you draw a circle real quick? Draw a circle real quick and then select it. Look at the properties. Here's the layer it was placed on. Here it's telling you that this is the radius and this is the diameter. My point is that depending on the type of entity you select, you'll get different properties. There's no length to a circle. I mean, you have a circumference, and that's listed there too. There's the circumference. And the area. If you select a line, there's no area to a line. It's just this sort of vector. There's no area to it. But a circle is completely enclosed. And that enclosed area is reported right here. All right, I'm going to delete that circle. All right. For right now, you can go ahead and dismiss your properties palette. The next thing I want to show you is also something that you've already seen, but now I can officially show it to you. If I can manipulate around here, here we go. The dimensioning, or not dimension, I shouldn't say dimensioning. Dimensioning is annotating. What I'm talking about is being able to quickly measure things in your drawing. All right. So let's take a look at this. First of all, here's the command right here. And what you're seeing in this drop down, I'll be honest, is similar to what I've shown you like for circle and for arc. Everything in this drop down is all part of the same exact command. It's just, these are just different options of different ways in which you can measure things. So let's start at the very top of the list, quick. This is a really interesting, cool, neat little thing where you don't really even have to do anything. You just hover your cursor around and these dimensions automatically appear quickly. So go ahead and select quick dimension here. Now, when I bring my cursor out, you'll see I have this yellow crosshair, and the yellow crosshair goes completely across the screen. As soon as one of the crosshair elements intersects an entity in my drawing, it instantly or quickly gives me information about it, like this line over here. So it's saying over here that this line is 10 feet long. It's highlighting it. Okay? As I move my mouse within this area, my crosshairs intersect other elements. And those elements highlight. So it lets you know what it's measuring to. And the little dimensions along the sides of the lines and entities, more specifically, the highlighted lines and entities, it shows a dimension for that. So I can see all kinds of things. Look, we know about that 7'1" dimension. We know about that 7'6" dimension because those are the dimensions we actually started plugging in to our plan here. 7'1". So we can check this, 7'6". All right. Now look at this. One of the lines highlighted there was showing, I believe, what was it? It was 9 foot 1/2 of an inch. 9 foot 1/2 of an inch. Do the math. 8'3" plus 6 is 8'9". 8'9" plus 3.5 inches, and that's the thickness right here of this wall, is 9 foot, and the 1/2 inch left over remainder is the 1/2 inch. So it added up. Oh, geez. Oops. Yeah, it added up all of those dimensions to get us that 9 foot dimension. 9 foot 1/2 inch. All right, go around to other places. You can recognize some of the dimensions that you plugged in while you were offsetting. It'll even sort of measure in between your little end cap lines. Like here, in between here, I can see the length of the opening, right? Here, I was saying I have to, trust that I did the correct dimensions. Look at this. This is 9 foot. Okay. How about over here? Remember, we were looking. We needed to make these equal. So here, this is saying that this line here is 8 1/4, and this line here is also 8 1/4.
Hey, Alan.
Yeah.
What are the little squares in the corners? Do they
Very
make
good
it
question. I like it.
90 degree?
That's exactly right. It's saying that it's telling you that these are exactly plumb or square or whatever you call them. Yeah, these corners are exactly square. They're exactly 90-degree angles. Speaking of angles, if you come over here and your cursors intersect these two lines that are at an angle, look at that. It's showing that these lines go at a 135-degree angle. Okay. I was just going to say, hey, look, I've confirmed that this is 8 1/4 here and 8 1/4 here. So I can just come over here and, in the interest of being complete here, I can confirm that these are both equal. All right. So these are the quick dimensions. Now there might be situations where the quick dimension is not going to give you the information you want. For instance, let's say I need to know what the dimension is from this corner here to this corner here. All right, now I can't do that with the quick dimensions because the quick dimensions, as you can see, they're just sort of orthographic, you know, straight up and down and vertical and horizontal, right? Well, I could switch to this option here, distance, or guys, I usually, if I'm in the middle of this, I just come over here and I say distance. It's the same exact thing. But anyway, if you click here, distance, then you basically just pick points off the screen. I can pick this inside corner point here, and then I can pick this inside corner point here. And look at that. It reports to me that the distance here is 22 feet 2 and 19/32. Here, it shows the same information. Here, it shows the same information. Okay? Another thing that it's doing is it's also figuring out that from here to here is 15'6", and that's what this is referring to, the Y delta. And then this is 15'11", you know, straight across, and that's the X delta. But what I pointed out was the length of the diagonal of the room. All right. Now we've already seen here, and by the way, to exit out of the command, you can use this little, this is like automatically giving us the arrow key on our keyboard drop down list. So you can go ahead and hit escape if you need to. Oh, yeah, there you go, escape. Now we have these two guys at an angle. Sometimes if you can't get the quick dimension to work, you can use the angle tool here. And basically the way that works is you select a line, and then you select another line, and then it'll give you the angle. All right? Here, try this with me. Draw two lines at some odd angle like this. Draw an arc. Okay, however you want to do that, and try the dimensioning tools with this. Try radius, for instance. Click on the object and look at that, it gives you the radius. It also gives you the diameter if the arc were to go completely around. Here, I can switch to angle. I don't even have to start over here. You just go ahead and select angle here, and then you can come over to whatever two lines you created. My two lines are at an angle of 63.69 degrees. By the way, you see the 2 points past the decimal point? That's this. Remember I told you it's what it's recording. All the dimensions also round to the nearest 32nd. If I change this to something crazy like this, let's see what happens now. Angle. Look at that. Now it's 63.69074929 degrees. Here, I'll put that back to 2 places. Units. 2 places past the decimal point. Angle. There you go. All right, you can erase your little test lines and test entities. All right, and finally, there is one in here for area. Now, we can't do volume because none of the elements that we're creating have more than 2 dimensions. So there's no volume, but we can do area. Here's how area works. And I think I even showed this a little bit, but now we're doing it officially. If you click here on area, what you're going to be doing is just selecting points around maybe the perimeter of the room. Like up here, I want to see what the area of the bedroom area is. So I'm going to start at one of my corner points here, and I'll pick a point. As soon as I pick my second point, then I start to see this green sort of shape here. And I'll continue around, and the green shape sort of, I think, sort of helps you keep track of where you're pointing or where you're clicking. All right, now here I get to this point, and this is basically what I want to find the area of, but I still have to click here. And when I do, you're going to see this. This is what gets people confused. They say, oh, I don't need to click somewhere else. I don't need to click somewhere else. Don't worry about it. This is fine, and it's going to compute the whole area. All you need to do is look what the default is saying right now. It's saying total. And what I mean by that, default, is that if you hit enter, just do it, hit enter on your keyboard, it's going to accept that default, total, and it's going to total up between all 4 of those points that you picked. And this is 400, where I can't even read correctly. It's 246 square feet. It even calculated our perimeter. All right, let's try another one. I'm going to click area again, sort of refresh it. And how about the walk-in closet? Now this one's got an unusual shape. It's got this little catty corner. So just click on all of the points. Just like this. And when you get to the end here, just hit enter. And this walk-in closet is 62 square feet. Okay. You can even do something like this. So this is the green blob, sort of helps you keep track of what you're clicking. All right, so look what I got there, and I'll just hit enter. And so this space here has a square footage of 143 square feet. All right, so that's a little bit about your measuring tools. So those are the 2 main ways in which you can get information from your drawing. Now, there are other things that are listed in our workbook, and they're sort of old ways. Here's a tool called list. And I'll be honest with you, list was a command that we used to have to use before we had palettes, before we had the property palette. So to show you what I mean here, type in list. There is a command for it in the properties drop-down palette, but I usually just type in list. So I'm just going to type list, L-I-S-T, and hit enter. And then I'm going to select that little line again down here. And basically, once I select it, I'm going to hit enter. And basically, it just spits out down down here. Oh, I got to get that back. Hold on a second. There we go. Here's a little text window. So here I've got a text window to pop up here. This is from the properties panel here. I'm sorry, the palettes panel. All right. And so basically, this is like the properties palette before there was a properties palette. It tells me that it's a line. Here, let me move out of the way. Yeah, it's not highlighted anymore, but this is what I was looking at. It tells me that that's a line. It's on the A wall layer. It's in model space. That's one thing the properties palette didn't tell us. It's in model space. And here's something else that the properties palette didn't tell us. And this really sort of proves my point from the very beginning of the week, where I explained how all drawings are basically databases. And so this line has a little tag in the database. Now, is there any way or need or any way you could necessarily need this information, the handle number? No, probably not. But it's there, and maybe like other people can use that information for other purposes. I don't know. Here, it tells me that the line starts from 0, 0 and goes, the X, starts from 0, 0 and then goes to the X, 1 foot 6 and Y in the 0. So it gives us the same coordinates here. It tells me the length of the line. So basically, this is some of the information that you get from the properties tab. And one final thing that I like to show, do we have a reference to it? I don't think we do. No, here's something that I like to show you guys. It's not listed here. But you know you have these coordinates down here. And it's sometimes hard unless you have a command actor or you got to select something or whatever to get it to show exactly what the coordinate is. But in your, I forgot where it is. In your utilities panel, there's a little drop down in your utilities panel right here. And you see there's something called ID point. And what this allows you to do, it allows you to pick on a point, and then it'll spit out what that point is. Look how it says here. This is point X, 1 foot 6, Y 0. Here, I'll do it again. ID point. X, 1 foot 6, Y 0. Up here, this should be ID point 16 foot 6 in the X, 31 foot 7 in the Y. So I'll go ahead and ID that point. There it is, just what I said, 16 foot 6, 31 foot 7. All right, so that's a little bit about how you can get information from your drawing. Even, we only have lines, and we've gotten plenty of information from it. All right, any questions? All right, now we're going to be dealing with something that is very prevalent and very useful. We're going to be adding some blocks to our drawing. What is a block? A simple definition of what a block is a compound element. It is composed of many different components, and it acts as one element. That's a simple explanation or definition of what a block is. But blocks are basically nice elements that are very simple, um, in the sense that all the entities that are necessary for it are all in sort of one unit. Okay? And we're gonna, whether you know it or not, guys, you have actually created two blocks. You created a window drawing and you created a door drawing. Now I know that those are drawings, but as soon as we insert them into a drawing, they become what we call block references. That's the official name, block reference, but we shorten it, we call it blocks. All right, let's start with the window drawing, and we're going to bring it into our drawing, and it's going to be turned into a block. Now, here's the benefit of a block. Imagine this. Imagine, just watch me here, if I needed to show a window, and every time I start a project or a drawing, I have to come over here and I have to draw a window. And if I remember correctly, I start here in the middle of this little end cap here, and I go up 2.5 inches, and then I come over here at 3 feet, and then I go back down 5 feet, and then I come back over here 3 feet, and then I go back up 2.5, and then I go back over 3 feet. I already did this. I don't want to have to do it again and again and again and again. I mean, like over here, I don't want to have to come over here every time I need a window, right? I think you get the idea of what I'm trying to say here. Look at 2.5 and 3 foot. That would be so inefficient. So we've already completed all of this work. Look, I'll keep going here. Look at this, 3 foot, and back over here 2.5 inches, and then back down 3 inches. Oh, that's 3 inches. I meant to say 3 foot. So what is 3? Is 36 at 33 inches? There you go. Anyway, that's a pain in the neck. Let alone the fact that now I have, how many different lines do I got? I got 1 line, I got 2 lines, I got 3 lines, I got 4 lines, and let's not forget that this was 2 lines over here, 1 and 2. And that is just going to be a nightmare to manage. And what if I have to select them all, and I want to make sure I don't select the little end caps, and that's my whole point. So that's what the benefit of a block is. So let's see how we can bring in a block. Look what I have to do to clean this all up. Look at this. What a hassle here. All right, see, now you're going to see the benefit of this. All right, here's what I want everybody to do, though, first. Everybody, change your current layer from a wall layer, change it to the a glaze layer. That's going to be for windows. All right, next, I want you to go over now. This is the first time we're going to go to another tab officially. Well, we've been to the View tab, of course. But now, officially, I want you to go to the Insert tab. All right, on the Insert tab, we have this Insert tool drop down here. Now, this, what you're seeing here, is a little confusing. What you're seeing here, this big gray spot here, is what we refer to as the gallery. And what it would be showing if we had blocks in our drawing, which we don't have blocks yet in our drawing. It would be showing a little thumbnail sketch, a little depiction of all the symbols and blocks that we have in our drawing, but we don't have any. So this gallery is blank. Then we have something called recent blocks, and we haven't even added any blocks recently. Then we have something favorite blocks. How does it know what our favorite blocks are if we haven't even added any blocks yet? And then it says blocks from a library. All right, now before we get blocks from a library, we have to at least have some blocks. Keep in mind, or just memorize, not memorize, what's the right word? Keep this in mind, these different things here, recent blocks, favorite blocks, blocks from libraries. I want to show you, here's another way to open up what I want you to open up. I want everybody now to go back to the View tab. All three of those little settings, including the big gray space, so all four of those little selections there in that drop down, are basically wanting to summon a palette. So here's what I want everybody to do. Go to your View tab, and we're going to do it this way. Here is the palette that any one of those is trying to bring up. Now, the reason I don't want to do it from the drop down is that it's going to give us a whole rigmarole about how you don't have a block yet, you don't have a library yet, you don't have anything yet. Well, this way we won't get yelled at. We can just open up the palette without that list there. So go ahead and click here, blocks. Now the first thing I want you to do whenever a palette comes up, what do I want? I want you to go to the properties of the palette and turn off allow docking. Please. I don't want to have to go to everybody's screen and try to find where your palette got docked to by accident. All right, so turn off your allow docking. Now, you're going to see this little thing at the very beginning. It's sort of yelling at us, sort of. It's saying, hey, blocks are only available across devices if you say, so ignore that. That's just saying, hey, you know, your library, your whatever, you could easily get these without having to be on the particular machine that it's at. You know, it's basically cloud storage. So we're not going to be concerned with that for right now. So you can click on the little X here to dismiss this. All right. Now, take a look here. Each one of these things, this blank space, recent blocks, favorite blocks, blocks from libraries, that's just a different tab on the block palette. Current drawing is basically that big gray blank space. Recent blocks is this tab. Another gray blank space because we haven't added any blocks yet. We don't have any recent blocks. Favorite blocks. Well, how can we have favorite blocks if we haven't even added any blocks? And that's what this tab is. And finally, blocks from libraries. That's the libraries tab here. All right. What I'd like you to do is just set it to current drawing for now. Even though we don't have any blocks yet in our drawing, let's just use this one. And I want you to also note that this area down here are the different options for when you're placing a block. And notice that no matter what tab you go to, these are all the same. This is the same area here. Okay? Also notice that this area has a little drop down in case you want to see some more space here, but we don't have anything to look at yet. And you can bring that back up. And there's a little property thing here too. And this is, again, referring back to that original little message about cloud storage. And this is telling you where you can store your libraries. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to insert a drawing into this drawing. And when we insert a drawing into another drawing, that drawing becomes a block inside of that drawing. So we're going to insert the window drawing into this drawing. Now, before we do it, I have some options I want you to set up here. All right, first things first is I want you to select insertion point. What does that mean? Well, what that means is you're going to be allowed to pick a point where you want to place that block. And we're going to be placing the blocks at the little openings. So you want to have a little bit of freedom of movement to move around and pick those points. If you uncheck this, don't do it, but if you uncheck it, then it gives you some space here where you can add a coordinate where you want to insert the block. Now, this is useful for other types of workflows, like I want to insert a title block at 0, 0, 0. Or I want to insert some floor plans and I want them to lay on top of each other. And if they all have the same insertion point, I could just say, put them in here and like, for instance, 0, 0, 0. But I don't know, I want to start up here by placing a window at this area here. I don't want to have to go in here. This is going to be too difficult. I don't want to have to go in here and find out what this point is. All right, the point is 1 foot 6 in the X, and I would put that here. 1 foot. No, you don't want to do all of that. 1 foot 6 here, and I don't even remember what the other one is. My point is you uncheck that. Yeah, 31 foot 5 1/4. No, turn this on, and it's going to let you take that block, and it's going to be attached to your cursor. And you'll be able to pick anywhere on the screen where you want to place it. You don't have to enter in a coordinate. All right, here's the other thing also. When you see this, when it comes in, we're not there yet, but when we get this window to come into this drawing, it's going to be attached to our cursor, and it's going to be attached at what we call the insertion point. And a drawing being used as a block, the insertion point is the origin of the drawing, and the origin of the drawing was 0, 0. So you're going to see how that window is going to be attached at that insertion point. Next, scale. For scale, you don't check this. Basically, we want it to come in at its full scale, 1 to 1 to 1. So we don't, but you note that you can bring in blocks and you can have them automatically scale up or down by whatever scale factor you enter in here. And notice how the scale factors can vary between X and Y axes. So for instance, if I had a block and the block was a square, I could come over here and I could say I want the X axis to be 2 times the original, and then the block is going to come in stretched already. But I don't want to do that here. Rotation. Yeah, I do want you to be able to change the rotation angle, because I've got some blocks over here that I want to put in vertically. So this is saying, hey, we can allow you to place in and change the angle of the object after it's being placed. All right, the next thing is auto placement. Now this is a new feature, and to be honest with you, we don't really have any uses for it in this particular floor plan. But you can leave it on, it's not going to hurt. What auto placement is that sometimes, and it's a little tricky to get it to work, but it can determine or feel around the other existing geometry, and it kind of infers or figures out the placement, whether it needs to be rotated or not. That's what auto placement is. Now, in this particular exercise that I'm going to have you put in these windows, I want you to use the tool here to place in multiple windows. We got a window that has to be placed here first. Then we're going to come over to here. Then we're going to come over to here. Then we're going to come over to here. So this is a good use of repeat placement. So go ahead and make sure your check mark is in repeat placement. And finally, we have explode. There's some situations, and I very rarely, that you want to insert a block and have it automatically explode itself, so it's no longer a compound element, it's all the individual little components. Most 99.9% of the time you're never going to use this, but they give you the option. So do not put in explode. You know, that defeats the purpose of a block. If it's all a bunch of different lines, then what's the point of bringing in it as a block? All right, so make sure you have the check marks on insertion point, rotation, auto placement, and repeat placement. To find our block, we have a little button up here in the upper right-hand corner of the palette. Go ahead and click on that, and that's going to bring up the navigation window. Okay? Now look how convenient this is. I gave everybody a nice little shortcut here to the class files folder. Go ahead and click on that and highlight window. There's your window block. Go ahead and hit open and look at your cursor. You have a symbol, a window block symbol. See that? Make sure, I should have mentioned this before, but you can do it now. Make sure your object snaps are on, and you're going to use the midpoint object snap. Look at that. Midpoint. Go ahead and click there, left click. Now it's asking for the rotation angle. Now it's already set up for that angle. In fact, look down here. You see that in brackets? That's the default, 0 degrees. What do you do if you see something in the default and that's what you want? All you have to do is hit enter. Go ahead and hit enter. And now you've just added a window. Now look, auto placement, repeat placement, we've got another one. So go to the next opening. Same thing, rotation angle, except 0 as the default, just hit enter. All right, now move to the next window. This one's a vertical one. Select the midpoint, and now move your cursor down. Now, you could either do one of two things. You could type in the angle 270, or just simply move your cursor in the alignment that you want the window and left click. It defines the angle for you. Here's what's nice. It keeps that angle for the next one. So you can go to the next window opening along the side, and you can add the window there too. Now it does ask you again for the, it asks you again. Now don't accept the default here again. Even though everything is aligned the way you want it, this is just going to put it back to 0. So you do have to click again the direction you want. All right. Now I thought of something just now, kind of funny. If I put this last vertical one in, and it asks me to specify the rotation angle, it's basically 270 degrees. But I think somebody asked me earlier this week, what if you put in negative 90 degrees? Negative 90. Let's see what this does. Look at that. That worked. All right, now you got to come around this way. This one is not 0 degrees, though. This one is 180 degrees. All right, just to show everybody that I could click right now with it oriented, left click, but I'm going to type in 180 just to show you. 180 and hit enter. Okay? And then here's my last one. I'll just go ahead and click. All right, once you've got the last window in, go ahead and hit enter and exit out of the command. All right, now a couple things I want to show you. Look at this. We now have something in our gallery. We have a block now in our drawings, and now it's part of our gallery. If you go to your Insert tab, look at this. Now there's something here in this blank gray void. It's no longer a blank gray void. It is we've got something. Okay? All right. Now, I have another block that you've already created that I want you to bring in, and it is the door drawing. Okay? So before I get to it, look how this is now a block reference. It's easy now to select. I can copy. By the way, I can copy, and that's what we're going to actually do for this next exercise. I don't have to use the block palette in order to add another window. I could just copy this window as if, I'm, copying a line or a circle now that it's in the drawing. All right, here's what I want everybody to do. We're going to bring in another block, the door. Okay. Now, these doors are all oriented in all sort of different directions. But what I found here is that if we start here, if we start with this door at this opening, then we mirror it just like we did in our exercise to the other side here. Then this door here will be perfectly set up to copy. See how it's oriented exactly like this one, exactly like this one. Okay? So that's what I want to start with. So here's what I want you to do. You can keep all of the same settings. Everything that you see here can be left the same. And I want you to go to that same little button up here. And you're going to bring in your door. So highlight your door. Oh, I forgot to do something, guys. I forgot to change the layer to the door layer. Let me cancel. Sorry if you did this. Go ahead and cancel. It's my fault. I got ahead of myself. Go ahead and change the layer to the A door layer. The reason I forgot to do this is I forgot to mention it. Look, oh crap. I just changed this. I forgot I had this guy selected. Let me hit undo. My goodness. Well, actually, that's a good thing to show you. Look at this. We added these windows in, and we had the A glazing layer on, and you'll notice, as I mentioned, how layer 0 has the special capability of, if you create the geometry of a block on layer 0, when that block is inserted, it will inherit the current block. Here, I've actually, it will inherit the current layer, is what I meant to say. Over here, I had this selected, and I thought I was changing the current layer to a door layer, but what I was actually doing was moving this window to the door layer. So you can see how that, let me change it back to window or glaze layer. There, you see that? And now I want you to change the current layer to the A door layer. All right, now we can go ahead and find that door. So go ahead and click on the little button here to bring up the navigation window. Highlight door and click open. All right, now notice the block insertion point is at the origin of that door drawing at the hinge point. What I'd like you to do is at that double door area, I want you to select this lower left-hand corner of the opening here and click there to place your door. Then I want you to move the cursor straight up. You could even type in 90 degrees, however you want to do it. I'm just going to pick a point straight up. And now you've placed that door. Now, one thing I should have done is I should have had you turn off. But you know what? Let's hold on to this. Let's hold on to this. Let's keep this the way this is. Let's keep this. I was gonna say I should have turned off repeat placement, but you know what? I want you to come down to the water closet. Because this is actually set up for the water closet here. This, if I can find it, here we go. Here, we're gonna select this corner point here, and then we're gonna rotate it around so that it is in this orientation, going into the water closet. So I want you to click here, okay? And then move your mouse to the left and click, and you've now placed that door at its proper orientation. Look at that. Here it is here. Okay, there it is there. All right, now you can go ahead and hit enter to exit out of the command. We have 3 remaining doors that we want to add. This one here, we're going to add by mirroring this one. So go to the double door area, and we're going to turn it into a double door. So select the door, start the mirror command, and for the mirror line, I want you to do, just like in our exercise yesterday, I want you to select the bottom of the arc, and then make sure it's a nice straight horizontal line. You don't want to mirror it like this. This is all messed up. Make sure your mirror line is nice and horizontal, and then pick. And now you've got, and then when it says erase source object, no, you don't want to erase the source object. And there you go. Now, true to what I was saying, we added this door by mirroring it. We did not need to come over here and use the block palette. So once it's in there, you don't have to use the block palette since the block is already in the drawing. But now I can come over here and copy this one. So I'm going to select this one and copy it using the hinge point as a base point. And then I'm going to copy it here to the linen closet and to the walk-in closet. Just like that. All right. Okay, so look what we got here. We got window, 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 and window. We got door, mirror door, copy door, and I forgot about this, we placed this door. All right, so here's what we have left. Plumbing fixtures. Plumbing fixtures. We didn't draw these plumbing fixtures, so what do? Well, luckily, I already have supplied to you a drawing full of plumbing fixtures and all kinds of other fixtures. You do not, please, don't open this file. You do not need to open it. You can, but you don't need to open the file. That's my whole point. But I want to show you what's in this drawing. We have all sorts of blocks. They're all ready to go. This block here is called soaking. This block here is called sink. This block here is called shower, and so on and so on. All right? So what I want to do is I'm going to close this file. I don't want the file open. I don't need the file open. What I want you to do is I want you to see how you can create a library based on a drawing file. And any blocks in that drawing file can basically become your library. All right? Very easy to do. Here's what I want you to do. First, since these are all plumbing fixtures, come to your layer drop down and I want you to set P floor fixtures, the very last layer. I want you to set P floor fixture as your current layer. Next, I want you to go to the library tab. All right. Then, not this button at the top like we've been using. You're going to use the library button. It looks like a bunch of books. Go ahead and click on that little button right there. It looks like a bunch of books. And you're going to navigate to your class files folder. And in your class files folder, I have that drawing that can act as a library of blocks. All right, go ahead and hit open and look at your your gallery, I guess you could call it. Look at all these blocks that fill in this space here in your library tab. All right, now let's do a couple things here. For each of these blocks, a soaking tub, a shower, a sink, a toilet, we only have one of each. So we do not need to use repeat placement. So you can turn off repeat placement. And another thing, auto placement is probably not going to work in this situation either. So you know what, you can leave it on. So just have insertion point, rotation, auto placement. That's it. All right, let's start with the soaking tub. Now to place a block using this palette here, simply click once with your left mouse button on the icon. All right, just click once. And then move your mouse out to the drawing area. Look at that, it's attached to your drawing. It's attached to your cursor is what I meant to say. It's inside of your drawing now. To place this, it is this endpoint right here, the inside corner of the walls. Now it's going to ask for a rotation angle. It's already set exactly the angle you want. So you can, on this one, you can hit enter. With the repeat placement turned off, look at that, it just ended the command. And now we can go ahead and add another element. Let's add the shower. All right, the shower insertion point should be right here at the corner of these two walls here. So go ahead and place that there. Again, the rotation angle is exactly what it needs to be, so you don't have to mess with that. Just hit enter. All right. Move up a little bit from the soaking tub so that you can see a little bit of the linen closet because, actually, I think it's here. I forget where the insertion point is of the sink. So I want you to click on sink. Yes, it's at the soaking tub. So click on the line of the soaking tub here. This time you will need to rotate. So rotate your soaking tub straight up 90 degrees and click, or you could type in 90. All right. And finally, we have the toilet. Now, I want to warn you about the toilet here. The toilet has a built-in distance away from the wall. So if you place it, sometimes my students think they did it wrong because there's a gap. That's intended. So there's supposed to be a gap here of 1 inch. So you're going to select the midpoint between along this line to place the toilet, and it's going to automatically add this gap here. All right, so let's do it. Click on toilet. Pick the midpoint of the back of the water closet here as the insertion point. Midpoint snap. Rotate 90 degrees, and there you go. Now, there's that gap. That's correct. Sometimes people think they, because all the other fixtures, they lined up right with the wall, and they think that they did this wrong because it doesn't line up with the wall. No, that's exactly right there. All right, so that's a little bit about blocks. I'm going to save this drawing. Go ahead and save your drawing.
Hey, Alan.
Okay.
Hey, Alan.
Yes.
Quick question. On, when we were inserting the door and then the mirror of that door,
Yep.
my mirror image is kind of pale blue. Now, when I copied it or repeatedly placed it at other places, it was the door color. But why did that mirror turn it blue?
I'm looking at your thing here, and here's what I can maybe say. I'm not sure, but I'm going to try to recreate what happened there.
The layer says P floor fixture.
Yeah, so apparently something happened here where all of your plumbing fixtures are supposed to be on that layer, and it got switched over to the door layer. And so here, just do this. Here, I'm gonna get rid of this thing for you. You don't need this to confuse matters. This is the quick properties thing. I'm gonna get rid of this quick properties. Yeah. All right. With quick properties gone, I'm gonna give back control to you. Go ahead and select all of the plumbing fixtures. Go ahead and just click on the sink, the tub. And I see what you're doing, and that's fine, but you can hover over it. You don't have, you can hover over it and click on it. That's right. Yep, you can click on it, but you got it. Just keep going what you're doing. So you have to go if you want to do it that way, you have to go from right to left. Anyway,
right.
Now come up to the list. Now the list is blank, but change that to plumbing fixture. The last layer. Perfect. Now everything is correct. Now right click, select right where near your cursor says deselect all. This is just me avoiding having you avoid the escape key. Select the door now.
The door that's the wrong color.
Change that to the a door layer. See how it's the plumbing fixture? Now, just change that. Move it to that layer. Perfect. All right, you're good. Now, let me see if I can figure out how it automatically turned. Here's what I'm going to do. What if I had the plumbing floor fixture layer on as the current layer, right? And then I went to mirror this element. I'm not sure that this is going to work or not. I don't know. It still keeps the original layer. I'm not quite sure how that happened, James. But yeah, I was thinking that, it might have been that you inadvertently had that selected, and then when you went to go change it to plumbing fixture, you didn't realize that it was selected, and you changed the layer and it changed. I did that earlier. It can happen. It's not a big deal. All right. Any other questions? Take a look at your insert tab and your insert drop down. Now look at all of the blocks in the gallery. See how that makes more sense? Close your block palette. Just for the heck of it, just try this. Go over to your gallery and just click on something and you can add something. Look at that. Here's another thing I want you to do. Click on any one of these settings here. Click on recent blocks. What does it do? It opens up the palette. Now, I didn't want you to do that at the beginning because look, it opened up right to the recent blocks tab. And now that we have some blocks in here, we could go in there and we could start adding things. Oh, I don't want to go into detail on this one, but basically I selected a block that still exists as a drawing outside of this thing. So it thinks that I want to replace the block that I've already inserted in here with the block outside. So I'm going to forget about that. But anyway, yeah, we don't need the block palette anymore. All right, so here's what we're going to do, and then we're going to take our last break. In our bedroom plan here, we have some elements here. Wish I had some more colors. We have some elements here representing shelves or millwork. Okay? And we have something over here that represents some furnishings, a bench. These are not blocks. These are just simply lines. And these shelves need to be offset from our geometry 12 inches. All right, so this is the last thing that we're going to do to finish this up. Let's start with the linen closet over here. I want you to start the offset command, and I want you to put in 12 inches, just 12, as your offset distance. All right? Then I want you to come over to this line here, and I want you to offset that line to the left. Just pick any point to the left. All right, now you've got that little shelf. But the shelf is the same layer as the source line. So it's basically, we copied it over 12 inches and it kept the same layer. So what I need you to do is I need you to select, well, end the command. After the command is ended, I need you to select that line and you've got to move it to the A mill above layer. All right? Now, I want to do the same thing, but I got a slightly different, more efficient way to do this. Instead of offsetting the source lines and then going back and changing them to the correct layer, moving them to the correct layer, there's an option that I didn't show you yet for offset. All right, start the offset command with, first things first. Change the current layer to the A mill above layer. All right, so make that layer the current layer, A mill above. Next, start the offset command. Before you enter in the distance, look at the option down here. Layer, layer. Go ahead and click on layer. And notice your two options. You can either keep it as the source layer, or you can have it automatically offset and automatically be on the current layer. So I want everybody to click on current layer, and it's going to automatically offset our lines to be on the A millwork above layer. So change this to current. Now, accept the default of 1 foot as your offset distance by hitting enter. And now offset this line here, this line here, and these are the shelves now of the walk-in closet, and they are on the correct layer. Okay? Now we're going to clean this up in just a second, but I want to get that bench. The bench needs to be on the I-fern layer. So before you offset, I want you to change your layer to the I-fern layer. Then offset. You can keep 1 foot as the default. You just hit enter to accept the 1 foot. And then offset this line here to the right. And it's on the I-fern layer. Now, to clean this up, this is going to be a combination of trim and extend commands. And what's really nice about our trim extend command is that I can switch between the two of them very easily with the pressing of my shift key. And this is what we'll do, and we'll take our break. So I want you to start either the trim or the extend command. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start the trim command. I'm going to start the trim command. All right. And I'm going to trim this little bit out here, this little bit out here, this little bit here, and this little bit here. So I've trimmed all of that out. Now I don't have to end the command and start an extend command just to extend this portion of the line over here. All I need to do, and you look at the prompt, see what it says. If you hold down your shift key, you can go ahead and extend that line to that other line. Look at that. All right, save your drawing. All right, this is pretty much what we have accomplished, and this is what this is all we're gonna get to. So we've completed this master bedroom here. All right, now this portion over here, sometimes we get to it and sometimes we don't. We don't have enough time to get to the regular. We don't have enough time to get to it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to continue in our workbook here. When we come back from break, and we're going to take a look at hatching. And then we're going to start to wrap up with some of our documentation features, setting up a layout and a viewport with a page setup, and then taking a look at how to add text and dimensions. All right, so that's what we're going to finish up on. All right, I'm going to start the timer. And when we come back, we'll take a look at hatching.